This is a zipline dash. The first time I talked about a variant of zipline dashes was in this Pathfinder tips and tricks video from 10 months ago, where we only had zipline slides at this point. But recently a clip from Skurul got a lot of attention for showing off this technique. And since then there has been rapid development about this tech, and whatever you think you know about it, trust me, there is more. We now have multiple different versions, requirements and names for this type of movement of a zipline. I just band them all together and call them zipline dashes. I did a lot of experimentation to figure out these nuances, but these discoveries were a team effort. The links or credit to everyone that discovered something about zip dashes is in the description. I'd love for you to check them out and just leave some nice words. Steep ziplines have always been known to give you weird momentum. You super jump off them with a bit more height, they throw you much further once you reach the top, and you can jump off them into any direction and keep their momentum. Ziplines below 45 degrees will always force you into the same direction when jumping off. Then 10 months ago, KwlaBear discovered what he called zipline slides, which is a much faster vertical super jump of a zipline. They need certain conditions. Number 1, the zipline has to be 45 degrees or steeper. Number 2, the zipline has to be short enough. This distance works. This is already too high. Number 3, the zipline pole has to be right above your head. It can't be too far up from the surface you want to do it from. And number 4, you have to slide into the zipline at the angle of the zipline. If you then super jump off it, you get insane horizontal speed. This is then the same technique Skurul showed off in his recent clip. You should absolutely check Skurul out. He's, in my opinion, the best Pathfinder player in Apex, and what he does with the grapple sometimes could be considered voodoo magic. With that increased attention brought to zipline dashing, Sweloh and his friends experimented with stacking 2 or even more ziplines for a zipline slide. And what they found was that it also stacks the speed boost from them. You can even stack 3 or even more, which leads to demon-like speed. But with more than 3, it becomes pretty unfeasible to do in an actual game. Tyko, one of Sweloh's buddies, figured out that you want to place the ziplines a bit apart. Stacking them right on top of each other won't give you the speed of the third one. While talking to Sweloh about his experimentation, and after doing a bunch on my own, it became pretty clear that you do not necessarily need any crouch input for a zipline dash to work. If the zipline is not only steeper than 45 degrees, but steeper than 65 degrees, you will get a zipline dash with only a super jump. No slide needed. You also don't have to fall or even look into the direction of the zipline. Just super jump off it. But if you do input a crouch in the correct moment, you get an additional 100 velocity on top. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the same interaction that gives you more super jump distance of a horizontal zipline if you input a crouch together with a super jump. The best setup for non-sliding zipline dashes I found in Control was of this tree in Hammond Labs. With 2 stacked ziplines, you can instantly push into the entrance. A little tip for slideless zip dashes: I do the super jump a bit after I already crossed the ziplines, not as soon as I'm in reach to interact with them. You are in reach of that subscribe button though, I'm just saying. So we started with the requirements of zipline steeper than 45 degrees, short, zipline pole above your head, a slide at the correct angle, and a super jump. Then we figured out that the slide isn't necessarily required if the zipline is at 65 degrees or more. But there is a third option, where the pole doesn't have to be above your head, the length of the zip doesn't matter as well, and we don't even need a jump, just an interact input. This was discovered by Lovice, and he's calling them Zip E Jump or Zippy Jump, since E is the standard interact key on PC. But because it doesn't need a jump, I'd rather call them Zippy Dash. You could also call them Jumpless Zip-Dash, as we now also have a Slideless Zip-Dash. But I think you start to see why I just call all of them zipline dashes, which just have nuances and different ways to trigger them, since it's getting a bit convoluted to always call all of them by a specific name, which I will keep doing for the rest of this video. But if you want to show these to a friend, it's easier to say, yo, let me show you zip dashes. For zippy dashes, we again stack 2 steeper than 65-degree ziplines close to each other or even crossing each other. And while riding them up, simply input another interact at the correct moment. No jump or crouch necessary. I experimented around a bunch and it feels like I figured out some tips. It works best when you place the zipline counter to the direction you want to go in. Your intuition might tell you to angle the zipline pointing in the direction you want to go. But I found it much more consistent to have the top pole on the side I want to go in and angle the zipline on the same side. You technically can go in any direction with this method and get the speed of both ziplines, but to me it felt more consistent to go in the direction of the top pole and angle of the zip. You can angle the zip much steeper than you think. As long as it's not perfectly vertical, it will still work. For me it worked best when the top poles are right on top of each other, so they occupy the same spot, not next to each other. Then the zipline shouldn't be too close, but also not too far apart. This spacing works well for me, and the timing of the interact input seems very critical. So even though the top pole doesn't have to be placed above your head and can be much further up, it still seems that you need to interact as close to it as possible. Which leads me on a little interact tangent. Zippy dashes work by hitting interact once at the correct moment, spamming interact, or even holding interact and not worrying about the timing at all. I have found holding interact to be a bit less reliable than hitting interact at the correct moment. But this seems to depend on the zip placement and isn't set in stone. On some I get zippy dashes with hold interact every time, on others I don't. If it does work, then holding interact will make it so you switch ziplines back and forth, and then when you get close enough to the top pole, you get flung forward. But spamming interact sometimes gave me even more speed. A normal zippy dash gives you about 1100 velocity, but spamming interact sometimes gave me 1400 or even 1500 velocity, which usually is only possible with sliding or slideless zip dashes with 3 or more ziplines. I have a suspicion that this is the same interaction that Yagsiakim figured out. They bound interact to scroll wheel, and when spamming jump and interact in the correct rhythm on just 2 stacked ziplines, they could achieve demon speed, once even hitting 2400 velocity and get consistently more speed than a normal super jump of the zipline. So if you want to do zippy dashes very comfortably, make it easy on yourself and just hold interact. If you want to experiment around a bit and maybe get these rare, really fast speeds, spam interact, or if you're really dedicated, maybe even bind interact to scroll wheel. I tried to stack more than 2 ziplines for zippy dashes, but this often resulted in not even getting the boost from the first 2, which Floofy Kat also found out to be true, who independently discovered hold interact zippy dashes and posted about them in the Apex Rollout subreddit, which you should join since pretty much all major movement discoveries nowadays have their origin there, or in the accompanying Apex Rollouts channel on my Discord server. Another random thing, you can combine Valkyrie's lowered gravity or moon boots with zippy dashes. Valkyrie gets moon boots when she starts riding a zipline mid-air after having used her passive. So doing a zippy dash with moon boots will carry you even further. And AChaoticPinguin figured out that you can stack the double jump of a jump pad into a zipline dash. So you get flung forward and can then double jump to keep it going. So to recap, zipline slides need steeper than 45-degree ziplines, short ziplines, the end pole above your head, a slide at the correct angle, and a super jump. It works with a single zipline, multiple ziplines stack for more speed. Slideless zipline dashes need a zipline at steeper than 65 degrees, but then don't need the slide anymore. And zippy dashes need 2 ziplines at steeper than 65 degrees and only an interact input. They are the easiest to use and set up, but are limited to only 2 ziplines. I wouldn't be surprised if we figure out even more zip dash nuances in the future. For now, I hope I could get you up to speed. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!